Cool. Here we go. Welcome back to the PT Graduate Ment. I'm not even getting that right. Too bad.
Edit.
Oh, I don't know. I know. I'm sometimes leaving that stuff in is good because people can just laugh at me and that's fine.
You like an authentic podcast. Yeah.
Let's try again.
Okay.
Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. I had PT Mentor on my mind because I'm trying to work out an advert. I'm going to slide into the middle of the podcast at some point. Anyway, welcome, Angela Oliver.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Sorry about that. That was a very unsmooth start. So let's try and make up for that as we go.
Dude, life's not smooth.
No, that's it. And that's probably why leaving it in is a good thing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So you're based in Christchurch. You've always been in Christchurch?
No, I have not always been in Christchurch.
Okay.
I was born and raised on the west coast of the South Island, in a little town called Greymouth.
Yes.
And usually when I tell people that, I'm like, shh, don't tell anyone. And now I've said it on a podcast, so I'm screwed. Yeah. So I moved over here when I was 20. So I've been here for just over 20 years with a couple of little breaks. I went back home for a couple of years at one point. I went over to Australia for a couple of years at one point. But Christchurch is home.
Yeah. Not a bad part of the world. It's a beautiful city.
It is. It's very, she's wet right now.
Yes.
Yeah, we're very flooded.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of New Zealand is very wet at the moment. You know, the gardens are sodden and slips
I do not
are
have
occurring.
the claim to fame for that in my part of the world at the moment, do I?
Roads are being blocked. It's a bit of a mess at the moment.
Yeah, totally.
So you've been in Christchurch for about 20 years, and tell us a bit about your sort of journey into what you do now. How did it start? What got you going?
It's a long one actually. Okay. So buckle in.
All good.
I was not. I was kind of sporty as a young person. I played netball, because I was a girl, and that's the thing that girls do is we play netball. That's how we hang out with our friends as we play netball, right? So that was pretty much the extent of it though. That was it. Every now and then I tried running, and sometimes I liked it and most of the time I did not. I was the kind of person when I was younger that was more into getting in trouble and smoking in the bike sheds and drinking illegally and all, that kind of stuff. And so at one point I had decided I was going to get back into martial arts that I'd done when I was a child, and I joined a Taekwondo club here in Christchurch, and that was very fun, and I did it very I would say casually, but it's like nothing about Taekwondo in New Zealand is ever casual, actually, to be fair. And long story short with that, I ended up, after I graded for my black belt when I was 27, I ended up opening my own club here in Christchurch.
Okay.
And so I was a martial arts coach. Like magically a martial arts coach, and there's a bit of a mindset shift that comes from that, and kind of in the years leading to that I had decided I was going to be like trialing for the New Zealand team and wanting to do those kinds of things, but obviously like my background and my kind of history as a young person did not lend itself well to being a high performance athlete. I discovered that I had the mindset for it, which was great. And I never made it into the New Zealand team, although I did end up managing the team one year, which was awesome fun. But I guess over that time, I kind of developed a little bit more of a love for activity and moving my body, and it was in martial arts is a very particular way of moving your body, isn't it? So and then eventually I found CrossFit, which I thought was pretty cool, and it married well with martial arts. And at that point, after about 6 months in there, I thought, you know what, I reckon I would like to coach this, and it would be great for like my martial arts business and CrossFit, man, they would go so well together. So I did some qualifications there, decided it wasn't enough. And then I took a 6-month break from my office job to go and do a full-time PT course. And that was in 2013. So that was nearly 10 years ago now. Nearly 10 years ago now. So I fell pregnant at the end of that course, which was a blessing because we had been trying a long time. There was a real like fertility journey there. I hadn't quite realized that I am a stress head. And that I thrive in a very stressful environment, but babies don't. So no, they really don't. So that was a journey in and of itself. So being a PT just kind of almost got put on hold for a bit But what it did allow me was to run boot camps for my martial arts students and their parents, which was really cool, because it brought that whole like family and community feel into my club.
Yep.
A little bit more. And then after my kids were a little bit older, when I say a little bit old, like when my second child had turned 1, I found it is so long. I found an amazing company online called Girls Gone Strong.
Yes, I'm going to ask about that.
Yes, they were advertising at the time. It was just an ad on Facebook that I saw about a free 5-day course for coaching pre and postnatal women. And I was like, that sounds like a bit of me. I am one of those women. And that sounds awesome. So I did this free 5-day course, which I loved. And it helped me with my own kind of mindset around training, because in the 12 months after my son was born, I graded to 4th Dan.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And that was a very big learning curve, around the kind of training that you do when you've just had a baby. And yeah, so it was great to actually get some proper education around that and feel like I could then serve that population. So that just kind of ended up being me after that. Was for a very long time, everything I kind of did in regards to advancing myself with PTing and exercise and stuff was kind of with a view to helping women in that space. I did my Girls Gone Strong course, and then I think the next thing I did was jump into myofascial movement mentorship with John Polly, and then I think immediately after that I was like the serial learner for a while. I did Thea Baker's like women's coaching mastership as well. And then it wasn't long after that, I think, that COVID hit, and I was intending to take a bit of a break from learning and actually do some stuff. So I then went into lockdown, and just towards the end of the lockdown, I was like, I do feel like I probably should be able to offer a bit of nutrition advice to my clients. Like, I was very lucky. I did a very comprehensive PT course. I studied with New Zealand Institute of Sport. Their course is just fantastic. They have a really in-depth nutrition segment to it.
Okay.
So if anybody is looking to study PT, I highly recommend NZIS, especially in Christchurch. The tutors are so good. But I still didn't feel like I was qualified to be actually helping people with their nutrition. So I thought, I'll go to Precision Nutrition, because they are, they're recommended by Girls Gone Strong, who I have a lot of respect for. And it will give me a bit of knowledge, and I'll feel more comfortable in that space. And then lo and behold, by the time I had gone through my level 1 nutrition certification with them, my entire outlook on how I wanted to work had changed. There's a big focus on coaching rather than just nutrition science. There's plenty of nutrition science in there, don't get me wrong, like it's all there, everything you need is there, but there is a massive slant towards coaching the person, being client-centered and working more along the lines of behavior change rather than just simply macros and calories and sports nutrition and that kind of stuff. And by the time I was finished that level 1, I almost didn't even want to be seeing people in the gym anymore. I just wanted to be doing that.
Okay.
It was intense. It was an intense feeling. And so I've gone on from there to do my level 2. And I am doing like a bit of a beefed up version of that at the moment. I've got 8 weeks left of a beefed up version of the Precision Nutrition Health Coach, like Master Coach certification, that then will lead me down the like health coaching, board certified health coach path.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes. So that's kind of, that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. What's the difference between the level 1 PN and the level 2 PN? How do they differentiate those two?
Oh, okay. So the level 1 PN is there's a lot of nutrition science, a lot of foundational stuff. They teach you their kind of foundational principles around that coaching and client-centeredness and that kind of thing. It is the science and the information for the most part.
Okay.
it goes into kind of their preferred process for helping people, that kind of stuff. The level 2, like the master coaches certification, is all about the coaching. It is about mindset, it's about psychology, it's about behavior change. It's more along the lines of how to really help people make the changes that they need to make, like working with motivational interviewing and employing those kind of strategies to help people get the best out of themselves. It's assuming that people have a scientific knowledge already, and then teaching you how to take that and actually help people with it, rather than just beat them over the head with a stick and tell them what to do, because nobody really likes that, and there's not a massive positive response to that in a human.
No, that's right.
Yes,
that coaching approach is the way to do it, isn't it? It's empowering the individual to make the decisions for themselves and choose the pathway for themselves.
I had a client say to me, when I just onboarded a new client a couple of weeks ago, who said to me, I said, what's likely to get in your way here? You know, what do you think your biggest challenge is going to be? And she goes, you know, Angela, I just really don't like being told what to do. And I said, well, that's fabulous. I don't plan to tell you what to do.
Exactly.
So this should go fine.
Yes.
I don't have any plans to tell you what to do. That's not my thing.
That's good.
Although it's difficult, sometimes you catch yourself about to tell somebody what to do, because it's in us, right? We're told that we're the experts, but we're not. Like, you know, we know some stuff, but your client's the expert of their own body, their own experience. So
exactly, they're the expert of them. They really are. It's so easy because you kind of get into that mode, don't you, as a PT? Is you do it this way, you do it that way, and then when it comes to some of the more subtle stuff, it's like, well, what do you think you need to do? You know, and changing mode as a coach and staying in that coaching mode takes practice.
Yeah, it really does.
And
it's very difficult for a client as well. Like if you've been seeing them as a PT and you have been saying, you know, we squat this way, we do this way, this is the way we press something over our head, and you design the workouts all the time, and it's all just you. When you finally do say to your client, well, how are you feeling today? What do you feel like doing? They're like, I don't know. They've got no idea how to make a decision for themselves or how to sense into their own body to know anything, because you've been doing all that work for them the whole time. So that's not particularly empowering for a human to be able to go after themselves.
You're absolutely right. It works in that environment as well. It's about giving them the power to choose what they think is appropriate. Of course, you know what their body needs because you've assessed them, but there's always that, well, what do they want? And then you try and you marry those things up so you get the best of both worlds.
Totally. Like we do, whenever I've got, like, I still maintain a handful of PT clients, and I really love them. They're people that have been with me for like 5 years. We've got a great relationship, but when they walk in my door, the first thing they still do is tell me how they've slept, how they've eaten, what they've had to drink. Are they stressed today? Are they feeling emotionally happy? Like all of these questions. And then we're like, okay, so that determines our intensity of things. And I just love to give them a little bit of choice. I've got a lady who loves to come in and always go for a walk. Like she has a 45-minute session, and for half of it, we just go for a walk and have a chat.
Brilliant.
And then we come back to the gym and we lift some things, and it's great. But that's what she needs and that's what she likes. So, you know, making sure that that's all in there, like.
And without asking the right questions, you wouldn't know that that's what she wants. You'd just assume. So, having that coaching approach is so important and powerful. You've got behavior change coach at Coach Ange. I like the name. I like the title. You know, it frames it nicely. So you don't really call yourself Angela much, do you? It's more
Coach Ange. Ange. I like it.
Casual.
Because I don't want people to think that I'm their trainer. Or their person that tells them what to do. I like being thought of as somebody's coach, somebody's helper. Somebody referred to me once as their accountability partner, which I thought was awesome. That made me feel very good. But I decided that I didn't want to be known as a personal trainer or a nutrition coach professionally, because what ended up happening was people just kept coming to me and telling me they wanted to lose 10 kilos. And like, I'll be perfectly honest out there, I'm shit at that.
Right.
Like I'm shit at that. Like, because I want so much more for people. And I found myself getting really caught up in kind of trying to anti-diet people, and I just didn't want people coming to me just because they wanted to lose weight. Like when people come to me and they want to lose weight, I'm more than happy to help them lose weight, but it's probably not going to happen in 6 to 8 weeks. It's not going to happen quickly. And I feel like when for me, I felt like having nutrition coach or personal trainer attached to my professional identity just told people that I was there to help them lose weight. That's what it felt like to me. And I had to change it. And then I just, I'd been going through, I think, when did I change it up? I'd just done like a short course, little transition thing on the psychology of behavior change. And I was like, I'm going to be a behavior change coach. That's what I'm going to be known as.
Yeah.
So I'm a behavior change coach with a specialty in fitness and nutrition.
Sure. Yeah.
But people come to me for mindset coaching and things like that as well. I run like a 12-week program on mindset skills.
Okay. Awesome.
Having a growth mindset, thinking on a continuum.
Yeah.
Emotional regulation tools that you can use that don't involve food.
Right.
Understanding your deeper why for things and learning how to take action. Like, so those are things that I cover in like a 12-week course of
fantastic
of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Because you really need to start with that stuff, don't you? With a lot of people, they walk in and they think they want this physical change, but they're not mentally ready. And so they need that reset upstairs before the downstairs is going to actually change.
Absolutely. A lot of people do come in and they say, I just want to be told what to eat and I just want to be told what to do. But in reality, like, then they go away. If you do give them what to do, like, some people thrive on being given a plan, and that's fabulous. But like, if they're not mentally in a position where they have a growth mindset, where they really believe that they can change their behavior if they work at it, or where they are so disconnected from their actions that all of a sudden a box of blooming crackers got eaten and they have no idea how it happened. That's just all of a sudden in their stomach. Like that's a thing. And trainers and coaches out there can judge people as much as they want for inhaling a bag of chips, but like, it's a really normal thing to happen to people. And they honestly don't know. And you can hear trainers out there like bagging on their clients, but well, you know how you eat a bag of chips. You don't just like sit there and put it in your mouth. But in reality, there's something's usually happened like 2, 3, 4 hours beforehand, or even the next day, that's led to like a binge eating episode, or wanting to comfort eat, or wanting to drink a bottle of wine, or something like that might not even be on their mind at the time that food is going into their face. So I love being able to address with people that kind of stuff first, but I very much appreciate that that's not where a lot of people are at when they come in. So we quite often do start with some more tangible work. Eating well consistently. Sometimes we talk about eating the right amounts of protein and veggies and that kind of stuff, things that feel really tangible. And then when people are like actually trust me, because they don't know me when they first come in here, they don't know who I am. They're going to share their deepest, darkest thoughts with me when I'm a complete stranger. It's not a safe place for them. So generally when they start feeling a little bit more comfortable, then we can get into that harder work, that work where they really kind of look inside themselves and go, that's why this thing happened. I love knowing why this thing happened. And then that empowers a person to be able to stop and notice when a behavior is about to occur and go, actually, I'm noticing right now that I am feeling very overwhelmed, for example. And that is like presenting itself in the fact that I'm reaching for a muffin out of the baking container. And from there, you can make a conscious choice. Right? You can say, yes, I'm going to eat the muffin. No, I'm not going to eat the muffin. And you can be at peace with that because you made a freaking conscious choice. Whereas when you didn't know, you had no idea. You just ate it. Probably didn't even enjoy it, which is sad. You're going to eat something delicious. For God's sake, enjoy that thing. Jeez.
Absolutely. So there's this disconnect that people aren't necessarily aware of with themselves. Isn't there? And I guess it's our job to raise that awareness and bring them the space and the time to go, actually, you're right. I didn't realize that was going on. And when they see it, then they've taken that step forward. They're moving in the right direction. I like your approach, though, doing some of the more tangible stuff first rather than going headlong into the difficult, deep stuff, because that doesn't.
It's frightening for a lot of people. That's frightening and it's hard, and you get a lot of resistance to that kind of work. And I will say, for anybody that wants to get into this, that kind of coaching and that kind of stuff, you just need to be absolutely aware that it doesn't sell as well as 12-week abs.
That's the thing.
So from a business perspective, unless you are really good at selling it, no, I am not. Just going to put it out there, unless you are great at marketing that kind of thing, it is going to be a harder sell to people. But if you're looking for a style of work that is just inherently rewarding.
Yeah. So it's probably the packaging then, isn't it? The packaging and the marketing and in the way you put it out there, because that's what you really want to be doing. But as you say, it doesn't come in a real bright, shiny box with rippling ads.
Doesn't. Yeah. It really doesn't. It doesn't. I think, the world is changing a little bit these days. People are starting to look a little bit more inside themselves, being locked down for months at a time. Does that to a person, doesn't it? Totally. You've got no choice but to kind of look inside yourself a little bit when you're stuck in the house.
It was good for some, but not so good for others, wasn't it? Some households just exploded and others thought, oh, this is an amazing time to connect.
Absolutely. It's been a strange old couple of years, and good stuff comes out of it and bad stuff comes out of it, but it's all like awareness, isn't it, and self-knowledge, which is awesome.
So you're a bit of a runner. I see you talked earlier about running, and I think you're training for an event, aren't you?
I am. So it's taken a really long time for me to out loud call myself a runner.
Okay.
To put it into perspective, I am built like a powerlifter.
Right.
And I do love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there is just something about running that gives me a sense of like mental and emotional freedom. And also because I've never been good at it before. Like never.
Okay.
But I was never good at it because I was doing it the wrong way, right? I just go out and run.
And
then be like, oh my God, why am I puffed?
It's a skill.
Why is it so hard? But my husband's an incredible runner. Like, the kind of guy that runs 3-minute Ks and shit like that.
Hell.
I know, he's an asshole. Oh, it's awful. So hard to be married to him. So hard to be married to him because he's so like genetically and physically gifted.
Right.
Difficult. Whereas to put it into perspective, I am a runner that runs like at best kind of 7-minute Ks.
Okay.
Over like a 5K kind of, what did I do? Like my fastest 5K, I think recently was like 6 minutes 45.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know? I was very proud of that.
Good stuff.
So at the moment I'm training for my first ever half marathon.
Right.
And training has been going so well. And I've just been loving it. I ran for an hour and a half, and then I ran for like an hour 50.
Yeah.
Like, because realistically, this thing's going to take me close to 3 hours. I need to be able to run for a really long time because I'm slow.
Yeah. Okay.
But then I got the flu.
Yeah.
3 weeks out.
Oh, crikey.
I know. So I'm just recovering from the flu now. And my running has involved, over the weekend, I did 2 days in a row of walk-run intervals just to kind of see if I could, because the flu is terrible. And it's you don't want to come back from something too fast and then ruin everything.
No.
And then, as I said to you yesterday, in the whole torrential, I took a rest day on Monday after my 2 days because that's smart. And then Tuesday I was like, I can't do 2 rest days in a row. I'm looking out my window out here at this like the driveway's flooding and the park's full of water, and I was like, far out, man, I have to go out there and run. That's terrible. So I went out there and, like I said, I ran for 30 minutes and then just ran out of running. I had nothing left. I was like, I have to go home. It was terrible. So I'm at the moment mentally reminding myself that I have done a lot of hard work and that my peak week didn't happen. So I might not run my 21 Ks next weekend as fast as I might have liked. Maybe I might be a bit slower than 3 hours. But as long as I keep putting one foot in front of the other, I'm very confident that I can run the distance.
You'll do it. Cool.
I am very confident that I can run the distance as long as I don't try to run too fast. Because that's where I see a lot of when I tell people that I run and they look at me, they're like, oh, really? I know, right? I know. Sometimes they do. They're like, oh, you're so good. And I can see some like, it's a woman thing and sometimes a really skinny dude thing. And they'll like give me a look and they'll be, oh, you're a runner. Don't look like a runner. Like, yes. I know, but I am a runner. I can run. I've got legs. Got legs, can run.
Yes, exactly.
And they say, oh, I only get like around the block and I'm already puffed. I was like, oh, wow, do you know, you're just running too fast. Or oh, I can't run because it really hurts my knees. Like, oh, you're just like you're just doing too much too soon. So I think that when I look back at my kind of journey to become a runner, it really is just the fact that I slowed myself down and I started off way easier than I thought that I was going to. Those Couch to 5K programs are fantastic because they always started everybody off on intervals. My husband, who I said is a phenomenal runner, was the one who said to me, now, Angela, when it tells you to run easy, are you running easy or are you running comfortably hard? And I'm like, there's a difference. Holy shit, this is so new to me, right? There's a difference.
There's all these definitions.
I know. And so then I was like, oh, actually, so then I defined what running easy actually was. And all of a sudden, then I could run 10K.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, and so on and so forth. And it's been awesome. And I'm a mad fan of it now. And now I am almost comfortable calling myself a runner out loud in public.
Brilliant.
It
awesome.
Still feels weird.
Good on you for sticking. The flu is timing wise terrible, but a real interesting challenge. I remember reading a book on halves and fulls, and it was really useful. Part of it was useful. It said, have a plan A if you're after a time, have a plan B, and have a plan C, and you could keep going if you want to, so that on the day you're not horribly disappointed if you have to go to plan B or if you have to go to plan C. And I thought that's really smart thinking, because I'm so competitive. I always want to do the best time, but you just don't know what's going to happen.
No, that's right. That is so right. And that's where the growth mindset comes into things, is knowing that failure is not failure, it's just learning.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm quite realistic about the fact that next week I've never run more than 2 hours before. And I'm thinking that I'm probably going to be running close to 3. So I'm very aware of the fact that that's going to be a real challenge on my body. I didn't get the opportunity to practice how much fuel I would need for that amount of time and all that kind of stuff. And so I know that going into that, the actual event is going to be a bit more trial and error than I would have wanted to. So if I go into that with a fixed mindset of, if it's over 3 hours, I'm going to be so devastated with myself, then I'll probably not enjoy running anymore, right? But if I can go into that thinking, well, this is going to be a great event. It's a flat course. It's an easy course. It's 3 loops of 7Ks around a lake. It's going to be pretty.
Okay.
What's the worst that can happen? I'm just slow and I take ages. Bummer. I'll be like sneaking some earbuds in and listening to music the whole time. And I'll be enjoying myself a lovely run around a lake.
Nice. Is it local?
It's down in Ashburton around
okay. Not too far. Yeah,
so not far. So we've got family down just a little bit further south from that, so we'll go and spend the night down there with my mother-in-law. And then half an hour drive over to Ashburton in the morning. The race starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is super civilized. Right? How civilized. So good. How often do you get to do that?
Not often. It's usually 6 or 7 a.m., isn't it?
Like 7:30 starts, 8 o'clock if you're lucky, kind of thing. So I'm excited about it. Cool. And I just need to look after my body well enough to get me to the start line.
Yeah.
But there was a time where I would have given up with this kind of thing. Yeah. There was a time a long time ago. There's been a few hiccups that have come in over the last 6 months where I've noticed myself thinking about things in a really different way. Things that would have thrown me for a loop now are just like, okay, well, this is terrible, but nobody died.
No. Do you think that's the evolution of Ange, or has it been more about the study that you've done and the things that you've learned, or is that a combination?
A bit of column A, a bit of column B there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I definitely I've done a lot of the study that I've done with precision nutrition has been very much in around the growth mindset kind of way of thinking on a continuum rather than in black and white. I read the Carol Dweck's book Mindset when my daughter started school, because the principal recommended it because she likes having, a growth mindset. Oh my God, the word I'm looking for is escaping me. She likes having that kind of feeling in the school.
Right. Yeah.
And she promotes that kind of environment. So I was like, well, if she's going to do that in the school, then I'm going to read the book. And I read the book and I was like, this explains a lot about me. I remember whenever I would do a course or I'd do really well at something, when I was growing up, I was told a lot that I was very smart. Okay. I would get like really good marks at school. I started reading very early and learning maths earlier than a few of the kids in my class. And I got treated a little bit differently. I got offered to go to some special school when I was in primary school up in Auckland or something. It was a lot. It was a lot. I didn't go. My mum did not make me go to this thing because I didn't want to leave my friends. And it was perfectly fine decision. Fine decision. But I do remember that growing up, I got told that I was smart a lot. Oh, look at what a smart girl you are. Look at how intelligent you must be. You do so well in your tests. All of your results are so good. Blah, 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 blah. So that meant that whenever anything got hard, my fixed mindset was like, clearly not smart anymore.
Right.
Too hard, won't do it. Obviously, I'm not smart enough anymore. Whereas a growth mindset goes, this is hard. Wow. Okay. I haven't encountered something this difficult before. I'm going to have to put all of these smarts that I've got to good use and work a little bit harder. So that's a growth mindset. Whereas the fixed mindset is like, oh no, clearly I'm not smart anymore because this thing is hard and I can't just do it easily. So like we, as parents and as a coach as well, employ the strategy of praising effort and process over outcomes and results. So for clients that would look like, I'm not going to congratulate a client for losing 5 kilos. I'm going to congratulate a client for eating 6 servings of vegetables a day. How freaking good. How did you make that happen? That must have been really hard. How did you do that? You know, because you were only eating 2 and now you're eating 6. That's amazing. How did you do that? So we reward the process. And we pay attention to the process. And with the kids, you know, my daughter won her cross country a few weeks ago, which I was absolutely stunned by because she has never been interested in that kind of thing before. We were like, man, you must have practiced really hard in your practices at school to be able to do that. Like, well done. So just that small difference of how we reward things for people can help another person change their mindset from being fixed to being more of a growth mindset as well.
Yeah, I like that. It's so powerful. And we get so hung up on results, don't we? We get so driven by the obvious success. And I was just listening to Rich Roll's podcast. He was talking to Malcolm Gladwell. And
cool.
Just fascinating stuff. But, you know, Malcolm's one of those guys who always looks at the stuff no one else has looked at. And his theory on cross country at school age, you know, we shouldn't be imposing this adult mindset onto kids. And he says the top 20 runners of every, you know, in every school or whoever's competing should all be accumulating the same number of points. So the fastest runner and the 20th runner achieve the same number of points. So it's not about and the first and the second and the third. It's about being as important at 20 as you are at 1. And there the school accumulates whatever points, you know, wherever they come in the overall competition.
That's awesome.
So it's not about winning, it's more about participation, so that they don't get to 12 or 13 and go, I'm over this, I'm out, because they don't feel like they've achieved anything. And yet when they calculated for age, you know, when you've got those one kid sort of 6 months, 8 months ahead of other, they had an example of a swimmer where the girl was never going to be first, she was never going to be second, she was never going to be third, but she was, you know, a close 4th or whatever. But then they age adjusted the lineup. She was faster than anyone else in the competition.
That's interesting, hey?
Because she had that slight disadvantage of a few months at a certain age can make a massive difference.
Yeah.
And if they were able to go to her and go, hey, you know, you actually beat everybody. Okay, the clock's different, but you know, stick at it, because in 5 years you're in contention for an Olympic medal, which of course is a whole other thing.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
It's that journey to the point where the playing field is level.
There's that point when they're little kids, hey, like there's a lot of talk about how just giving somebody a certificate for participation is a bit like it doesn't drive people well enough and that kind of stuff. But when you're young, like really, really young, there are so many of those other factors to take into consideration. So definitely. You know, like I feel like to a certain age that kind of stuff is really good. And yes, we talk about how great it is when you come first at something because you've worked really hard to get there. You know, you had to try really hard.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just going to come down to like individual handling of things as well, isn't it? Like especially if you've got parents or teachers or coaches that are praising somebody just for, look at you came first, rather than, oh my gosh, how did your training pay off? How good? Like.
It's the process, not the outcome, like you say. And if we take that approach with our clients, I think it'll go a long way. Really.
I hope so. Like, I mean, when I think about being in the behavior change business, like I'm still pretty new in here. Like it's only been maybe a year and a half or so. And when you're like juggling family and things like that, it's kind of slow going. So, you know, I'm still feeling my way with it. But the more client-centered that I am, and the more compassionate that I am to my clients, like no beating them over a head with a stick, like in teaching them how to be compassionate with themselves and learn to empower their own journey. the better that their outcomes end up being. And even if they don't get 100% of what they want, like they might have wanted to lose 10 kilos and maybe they lose 7, and then they get a bit stuck and they have to, most of them have learned something so amazing about themselves that that's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah. The next level will come because the processes are in place. It's just that patience. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love this stuff.
I know it could go on and on.
Yeah. Carol Dweck and all these different people that have put some really good stuff out there.
Done some great work. I really do recommend for people. There's a book called Motivational Interviewing in Nutrition and Fitness. And I absolutely 100% recommend that for any trainer or coach anywhere around the place.
I'll scribble that down.
Yeah, do. It's so motivational interviewing is obviously a great thing for being more kind of client-centered and making sure that you're driving your coaching in accordance with what's best for your clients' values. But that particular book is really centered around nutrition and fitness. So I think it's a great one for trainers to hit up.
Okay, thanks. Do you know who the author is?
For the life of me, I do not.
That's okay.
I don't know why I don't know.
That's all right.
Got. Hang on. It's in my bookshelf.
Oh, okay.
But that's over there. Hang on a second.
You're plugged in. There we go.
Dawn Clifford and Laura Curtis. Motivational interviewing in nutrition and fitness. There we go. I knew I moved a bookshelf out here for a reason.
Nice one. I'll add that to the show notes so that people can just click on it and go and have a look, see if they want to get that.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I'll put some of your stuff in there as well. So if you flick me through some details, then I can put those in the notes so people can find you if they're looking for you.
Cool.
I usually finish with some tips. I usually, and I think, you've scattered a few already through here. So it's not like, we haven't heard some really juicy, great advice here, but any others that have worked or stood the test of time for you, Ange, and you go like that stuff, keep doing that stuff or don't do this stuff?
Yeah. I think from getting into business, the thing that's really kind of held me back has been deciding what to prioritize. And one thing that a guy called Jonathan Goodman says, he runs a company called the Personal Trainer Development Center. You'll be familiar with him.
I know him.
If you are a trainer that does not follow Jonathan Goodman, you absolutely should follow Jonathan Goodman.
He's good.
So that's piece of advice number one. But the thing that he says that I absolutely love is if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none.
Yes.
So so if you wake up one morning and you're like, okay, I have to do these 10 things, then the idea is that you really need to pare that down to 2 or 3 at the very, very most, because otherwise you're not going to get any of them done.
Yes.
And the ones that you do get done it'll probably be a shit job. So clarify your priorities on a daily, weekly, and monthly and long-term basis. That's something that I have struggled with a lot, and I'm getting better at it now. And I feel like it's a game changer to be able to do that, from a business point of view.
Okay.
The other thing I would say is, what was right in my head just then? This was so dumb for brain fog.
You might like Essentialism by Greg McKeown.
Oh, probably.
Because he says exactly the same thing that Jonathan says. He works with corporates and he goes in and says, right, what are the organization's priorities? And they list off 15 things. And he's like, nope.
Yeah. You're like, well, that's not a priority. That's just a list of stuff you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the other thing as well is to just understand that it's not about you. If you've gotten into PTing and you've gotten into coaching, and maybe you did it because you are a really sporty person and you really love fitness and you really love food, but if you're helping other people, then it's not about you. And letting go of any part of it where you are tied to somebody else's outcome.
So hard to do.
I know, it's much easier said than done. And I say that out loud as somebody who gets very, very attached to my clients' outcomes.
Yeah.
Very attached. Yeah. But and sometimes that trips me up, and it will trip you up. Be prepared to make mistakes, be prepared to screw everything up, and be open to learning from it. When you screw something up, write that shit down and figure out how it happened. Yes. Right away, be like, oh, I really messed that up. How did that happen? How did it happen? What can I learn from it? How can I go forward and do a better job?
Yeah. I like that. And I think, going back to the it's not about you thing, and that's the hardest thing, because we feel like we should embody this certain being, this god or goddess who, welcomes you into the gym, and you can have this body, and that's just not the story, is it?
No, it's really not.
It's not about that.
It's really not. Oh, I remembered the thing.
Oh yeah.
I remembered the thing. Yes.
Excellent.
When you decide that you're going to try something, you're going to like bring a new product to the market. You're going to try doing a particular thing on social media. You're going to concentrate on a particular type of client. Make sure you give it some time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm notorious for trying something out, and when it hasn't done everything that I want it to do within 3 or 4 weeks, I'm like, well, that was crap. And just chuck it out and try something else and do something else. And I like fly here and there and all over the place. But in reality, like, if you sitting down and giving yourself a good 3 to 6 months to really try something out, rather than being kind of all over the place with the work that you're doing, that's the other, like, the priorities and the sticking with something for a decent period of time. Choose something, try it, and stick with it. Really give it a good nudge before you move on to something else.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Brilliant.
You'll find that your results will surprise you if you actually give them a bit of time to come through.
Yeah, that's it. If you stick with it and you're prioritizing, it just keeps you focused on moving forwards with that thing or things. Yeah.
So easy to just be like, oh, shiny thing. Oh, shiny thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all about the shiny things. Like, I have to basically put blinkers on myself, because I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah,
this thing, I could do
absolutely,
this thing.
Absolutely. Well, they wouldn't be working as marketing if you didn't think they were the shiny thing, right? So they're doing the right thing. It's just our job to not keep the blinkers on, but certainly not let the shiny thing distract us.
Yeah. Choose your thing and stick with it for long enough to actually let the damn thing work.
Yes, love it. That's brilliant, and probably a really good note to finish on, I think. So,
I hope so, yeah.
Thank you again for your time, Ange. It's been really fascinating talking and getting to know you a bit more. So, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was a privilege.
Brilliant. All right.
Thanks.
Well, catch you later next time.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.